Hey everybody, welcome to my 40,000 subscriber Q&A video. You guys sent in a lot of questions and I always get very interesting ones, so it's always hard to narrow it down, and that's because I have really great viewers, honestly. Of course, there are tons of difficult people out there, but just, like the regular viewers that I see, they always seem to be very insightful. They have so many interesting things to say, and I learn a lot from you guys, really more than I think you know. As much as I like to, try to open people's minds to different types of filmmaking and different types of art, I kind of hope for the same thing in return. And yeah, I mean, I've gotten so many different recommendations and people have inspired me all over. I have so many interesting stories. I have so many different encounters. And as it gets bigger, it's kind of a cool thing. You just have to learn to maintain it and not let it overwhelm you, I guess. But anyway, here are some of the questions. Okay, so the first one. This is an odd question to ask a stranger, but since I have watched your videos for a couple of years now, I wanted to ask you how you are comfortable in being yourself and expressing your views so fearlessly on the internet, where one is always vulnerable, being trolled or ridiculed, not to sound condescending in any way. I am always plagued by self-doubt, and because of my introverted nature, cannot even express myself in normal conversations, let alone in front of such a large audience. How do you overcome this hesitancy and reduce self-consciousness? That's actually a really good question, and you put it very, very well, and thank you so much. I don't know. I mean, I'm very introverted. You say you're introverted. Well, I'm extremely introverted. I really struggle around people, but that's not to say that I'm socially awkward. I'm actually not socially awkward. And just because you're introverted, I think some people mistaken that for, oh, you're like very timid, you're shy. And I'm actually not shy. I'm just not the life of the party. I'm not the boisterous one or the one always raising their hand in class, I'm more just kind of quiet and I like to observe. That's just my nature. And I am just like anybody else, I promise you. It's like everybody has their insecurities. I have crippling insecurities in my personal life, and I have struggled with all kinds of issues throughout my life when it comes to self-esteem and whatnot. But in other areas, I have a lot of confidence, and it just kind of depends on what it is. Like in the arts, I have certain skills that I have a lot of confidence in. And for some reason, I've always had confidence when it comes to expressing my opinions on certain types of art, and film is one of them. And so I guess I consider it an outlet. I'm sure you have an outlet where you feel really comfortable, where you feel like, totally at home, you express yourself and you're just, nothing matters outside of that. It's kind of that way for me, I guess. And part of it is because I grew up performing, maybe. I don't know. I grew up doing so much. I grew up doing theater. I grew up doing dance. I was, in music. I was singing. I was playing the piano. I was playing the viola. I did all kinds of different things. And that was never an area that was difficult for me. And actually, I think you'll notice there are a lot of performers out there that are introverted. They may not be the type of people to be really conversational at a bar, but on stage they can light up because it's very different. There is a sense of control there. And even when I'm talking on camera, it doesn't bother me really at all. To me, I'm just sitting here talking to my camera. I'm not really thinking about the people that are watching. And I guess expressing it is something I've always felt like, I was capable of doing. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's all that it is. And I also think it comes with age. The older that you get, the less you care about people. And also, the more of an audience you get, of course, you're going to get more detractors. And eventually, you just stop caring what people think. Just kind of reserve the people that are in your real life, like your friends and your family. I say they're more important. Take what they say more into consideration, and then everybody else is more just kind of peripheral. Take it or leave it, have a sense of humor about it. That's just kind of how you have to go, if you're going to be on YouTube, because you have a target on your back naturally. So I don't know, you just kind of have to have a sense of humor about it. And if you like doing it enough, you'll be able to do that. Have you ever been to a film school and thought about making a feature-length movie like other YouTubers? Now this I get all the time. I get this question a lot. Understandably, because a lot of critics are aspiring filmmakers. It's very common that like a film critic will go on and talk about movies up until they finally get their foot in the door, and then they start making the movies, and then it becomes very different for them. That's not my experience at all, which always made me feel a little bit different, because I actually did start out as a film major in college, and but I was very hesitant about it because I didn't know what I wanted to do in film. I just knew I was really interested in it, and it was something that was just very, very, prevalent in my life. But, when I went to school, there were so many people that wanted to be filmmakers and like cinematographers, editors, everybody had an idea of what they wanted to do, and I was more just kind of interested in film history and all of these things, and just kind of the overall idea of it. And eventually I did leave because I realized that I didn't have an idea of what I wanted. And no, I've never really wanted to write a script. I mean, sure, like hypothetically, it's like, what kind of movie would you make? I think everybody's thought about that. But no, I've never written a script. I've never had an idea for a script. I've never had an idea for a movie. That's just not my thing. Really, I am a fan, and I am very knowledgeable about film. I know a lot about the history of it, and I've studied a lot about criticism. And yes, I know I am a writer. I have experience writing. That was actually my major. So it was like, I know how to construct a story and all of that. So I think all of that contributes to it. A lot of my talents are in the arts, and a lot of them can be utilized, in performance or, aspects of filmmaking, surely. But I've never had like a pointed vocation where I was like, oh, I have to make films, or oh, I have to be an actress or anything like that, at least in my adult life. Congrats on 40K. What is your favorite Rodgers and Hammerstein film adaptation? Now that's a good question. You get me. I would have to say Carousel, and that was in 1956, I think. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, that's definitely my favorite film adaptation. I've seen them all, of course, but many, many times, but I love Carousel, and that's not only my favorite film adaptation, it's just my favorite of their musicals. I think the music is incredible, and I think the themes are really dark. I know it offends a lot of people, but I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's a little dark, but you know what? It's more like real life to me. I think the protagonist of that particular musical has such a tall order when it comes to the acting and the singing. So I really think if you get a role like that, it's almost like, it's kind of like the Shakespeare of American Broadway type of stuff. The film is very generic 1950s musical, very second-rate kind of Gene Kelly type of stuff. And it was kind of during the period where musicals were starting to have a drought, or that type of musical was, before we go into the 1960s musicals. But I don't care. I have such a love affair with it because of my childhood. And I also I really think the music is magnificent. And if you see the stage musical, I think that the film version is a lot better. It includes things in it that I actually prefer. Can you give us an overview of your relationship with art and drawing? What got you into it? How long have you been doing it? What are some of your favorite pieces, etc.? I love drawing too, so I'm really curious. When it comes to art in general, that's a long story because I have a lot of different things that I do. But, if I narrow it down to just more drawing, I guess I can give you an overview. It's really not that interesting. I started drawing when I was maybe 2 years old, apparently. My mom is one of those people who collects everything that her kids did. So she literally has every drawing I did from age 2 up until I don't even know how old, but she has them all collected, even napkins from restaurants that I was drawing on and stuff like that. So it gives you a good indication of kind of the stuff that I was doing when I was a child. But yeah, as a little girl, I don't remember not drawing. It was just something, it's kind of like breathing. I just remember doing this a lot. Can't tell you why. And I don't even know if I really enjoyed it that much. It was just something that I did. I experimented with all kinds of different art. I did painting, I did charcoal, I did, sculpting and all that. And I don't know, I was never that versatile of an artist. I really just enjoyed drawing. There was something very vulnerable about that, and something that, I don't know, I really felt a sense of control, and it really spoke to me, that particular medium. So I don't know, I just really started honing in on that when I was maybe, 8 or 9 years old. I admit, for a long time, I didn't really practice it that much as a teenager, and even going into college, I would draw something maybe once a year. And I don't know, it was just something I kind of kept up because I was afraid that maybe I'd forget it. But again, it was never really a love. I almost equate it to knitting, because you're just kind of chipping away at something. It's a very, very slow process, but eventually you create something you're happy with. It wasn't until I started doing psychedelics and stuff like that, experimenting with LSD and doing art, that it rekindled the passion for it. And I discovered this real kinship I had with it, this love I have with the pencil. And it just completely changed the way that I look at art, and it completely changed the way that I look at my own type of drawings. Even though I do the same type of art still, I don't know, I think I approach it a little bit differently. I definitely approach it with more of a sense of heart. It's a lot more of a personal endeavor for me now. But yeah, I don't know, it's just something I've always done. I don't have some really interesting way about how I fell into it. I don't think there's anybody really in my family that's a great artist, or at least in my immediate family. And as I said, it was always just something I did, and I never really found a passion for it until I became an adult. Maggie, art questions, coincidental. Do you create any abstract pieces? Would you be willing to film time-lapse videos of works in progress? Congratulations again. Thank you. I guess that kind of feeds into the other question. I never did that kind of thing really that much, but again, doing stuff like psychedelics, I did a lot of that. That's really the only time that I have ever done any sort of really abstract types of pieces. And again, they're just kind of doodle orgasms, as I like to say. But yeah, you know, those are on my Instagram. I've definitely posted those a lot. And I've done time lapses and things on Instagram. But yeah, I don't typically do those a lot just because, I don't know, like drawing is such like a personal experience. I don't know. I get really like focused on the art and I forget the camera is going, and it just becomes kind of a process. But it is something I've considered doing in the future. You may have already answered this on another video. What are your favorite figure skaters of all time and what makes them special in your opinion? Mine are Midori Ito, Katarina Witt. I will never forget watching Midori become the first woman in competition to land the triple axel at the 92 Olympics. I will also never forget Katarina gracefully skating to Carmen at the 98 Olympics. This became known as the Battle of the Carmens, as Debbie Thomas, whom she knocked out of first place to win gold, also skated to Carmen during the long program. Yeah, but Debbie's performance wasn't that great. I didn't think so. Katarina Witt's okay. I think she's a little bit overrated personally, but yes, Midori Ito, God, incredible, incredible. Her lift in that triple axel is probably some of the best of any woman ever. That's such a hard question though. It's because like I have all these different categories of skaters that I like, and it's the same with like MMA. I'm a huge MMA person. It's like I have categories of different types of fighters that I like, and maybe not just one that I really love. But for skating, it's like I have the artists that I really love, the people that are more artistic in nature, and those can be anyone from John Curry to Jeffrey Buttle to Stefan Lambiel, you know, people like that. And then I have just fundamentally great skaters like Patrick Chan or like a Brian Boitano. I tend to like skaters that are really intense and very gritty and that are great, you know, sportsmen. Like they make a sport out of it. They make it really compelling and exciting, and they live for the edge, and they push the sport, but they also have the balance of the artistry and, you know, everything looking very clean and creating a cohesive story. It's really not that different from, you know, making a movie in some ways. But yeah, I'd say maybe Alexei Yagudin, I think, is one of the more balanced skaters. And I just love his style because, again, it's like there's an elegance to it, but it's gritty at the same time. There's a masculinity to it. You know, most recently, I like Nathan Chin a lot. I think he really changed the sport and he made it a sport again, but in a way that had the balance, and he created something kind of modern and fresh and exciting and youthful. And Yuzuru Hanyu, I think, is one of the greats, probably one of the most well-rounded skaters under the IJS system, certainly. And then when it comes to ladies, and I'm more of a fan of men's skating, but certainly Michelle Kwan is probably my favorite of all time. And then when it comes to the artists, you know, I love people like Sasha Cohen and huge fan of people like Yoona Kim. Those are probably my three favorites, maybe of all time. But yeah, so that's an idea right there. You're wonderful. So happy I found your channel. It was completely on a whim, since before you, I was admittedly a little bit of a snob when it came to YouTube critics, but randomly gave one of your videos a chance, Black Klansman review, and have been watching since. I don't even remember doing that, but thanks. Question, since you've mentioned that you enjoy hiking, do you have a favorite place you've explored? Oh my God, I've actually done so much hiking. I mean, again, it's one of those things, like I can either say what's the most beautiful place I've hiked, or the place that I don't know, I found the most atmospheric, and then what's the place that I had maybe the most enjoyable experience on. In terms of like beauty, I don't know, I did like the Beehive in Canada was really, really, really stunning. And looking down at that, I mean, oh my God, Canada is such a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Probably Zion. I loved that. It's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. One of the best hikes I've ever done. And then for just experience, I might say Big Bend in Texas, I really enjoyed, and then a place called Buckskin Gulch, but it was more, again, for the experience. I was kind of experiencing the high of nature, absolutely, in that moment. But yeah, go hiking, seriously. But that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to plug my website as usual. It is deepfocuslens.com. I'm an artist. I do commission portraits, and I also sell prints of my work. If that is something that you're interested in, you can always go to the website below. And if you have a question about a commission or a print, you can always email me. My email is in the description box below as well. Also, I would like to give a huge shout out to my patrons who have been wonderful. Guys, when I started Patreon, I really didn't know what to expect, but I've gotten to know so many of you. And it's been just really, really interesting. So hopefully we can keep it going and introduce new members. If you are interested in supporting, the link for that is below, as well as the rest of my social media information. You can watch more videos here, and you can subscribe if you'd like. Catch you next time.